Hi, and welcome to the Art of Spiritual Sleep. My name is Wendy Rosenthal. I am your co-host with Kabbalistic sleep and dream expert Mordechay Balas. Hi, Mordechay.
Hello, Wendy.
How you
How's your
doing
day
today?
so far?
Today is amazing. It's hot where I
That's great.
am, but other than that,
All
it's
right.
amazing. I'm very
Sending you
excited to be.
waves of cool energy.
Thank you. And right back at you. I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited to be here as always with Mordecai as we delve into the deep Kabbalistic insights and secrets behind sleep and dreams. Mordecai's purpose and mission is to help to elevate your sleep and dreams in order to ensure that you have days filled more with clarity, with connection to the universe, with connection to each other. So we're very excited to be here with you. As I mentioned, if this is your first time joining us, um, we explore sleep and dreams so that you can better your day. Also, if you stay with us till the very end of the episode, you get two amazing features. Every single episode, we want to give you something that you can walk away with. The first is the language of dreams, where Mordecai explores different sleep symbols and dream symbols so that you can better interpret your own dreams or help to interpret the dreams of those around you. Also, we offer something to sleep on. And in that, Mordecai gives you tips and exercises and meditations so that you can actually take what we're talking about in every episode and actually put it into action and allow yourself to have better sleep and dreams. So right now we're in the
Yes.
middle. It's wonderful because actually we do get a lot of feedback of how these tips do help people, and I know for sure they help me. So I'm excited to always hear what they are. We are in the middle of a series right now called Elite Sleep. This is where we're taking all of the information that we've shared over the last several months and kind of taking it to the next level. And through this process, we have talked about the different gateways to the soul, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your touch, and yeah, I got everything. Today, we're asking you what's on your mind. We're going to explore how all of these things come together in the mind and how, when you are protecting that gateway, you can take it to the next level. I think that is enough for me, Mordecai. I think everybody would rather hear from you on this amazing topic. So maybe you can give a little bit of a review of where we're at, and then we can delve into what's on your mind.
Yes. So thank you, first of all. Thank you also for everyone that is watching, that is listening, and keep up the good work of sleeping, because it seems like you're really doing a great job. So we covered those 5 gates, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, and the touch, which they correspond to our 5 senses. And we spoke about the idea that when you nourish those 5 gates proactively, when you nourish them consciously, you get to have better sleep and better dreams. And we also shared how does this affect your sleep and dreams in each one of those gates. And now we're going actually in a deeper way. So it's not about, it's rather than saying like we're dismissing what we said to you, what we shared with you before, we actually add in the cherry on the top, and we're revealing today a secret that all the work that we have done until now, and mainly when we speak about the gates, like what's the point behind nourishing the gates? There is one singular point, which is, and this is a secret behind it, that those gates, there are gates for what? There are gates to the mind. So the truth is, all the nourishment that you have been doing and that you will keep on doing is only a pathway to enhance the experience of the consciousness, the experience of the mind. So it's not about the eyes as a standalone, oh, I'm nourishing the eyes. We know that it's actually the brain, the mind that is seeing, right? And we also said, like, we gave an example, like when someone says, I see what you're saying, right? We know also scientifically that it's not really the eyes that are seeing, it's actually the brain, right? It's the mind that sees. And same goes for all the other ones, right? All the other gates. So this is really important to understand. It's a shift in consciousness. If we want to shift to the elite part, right, in our journey, the elite part of our sleep, it's important really to connect with the energy that all that I'm doing with the nourishments of the gates, it's actually to enhance my mind experience, my consciousness experience. And yes.
No, I just wanted to make sure I understood. So basically what you're saying is that because the mind processes all of the information that is coming through all of our,
Yeah.
sensual senses and the gateways of our senses, that it's really about supporting the mind and the consciousness
Right.
of the mind at the end of the day. And yes, you can, and
Because
yes, of course, your benefit is that, you're hearing things that are more positive, seeing things more positive, and all of that. But it's all
it is
connected.
the mind, that is, which we're talking here about the consciousness. It's not necessarily about the physical brain. It is the mind, the consciousness, that is also having the journey of going to sleep. It's the interaction with the soul. I mean, the soul, when the soul receives the message from the angel Gabriel, receives the dream from the angel Gabriel, it doesn't give the message, the dream, to our eyes or to our ears, right? It gives it to our mind, and the mind matches the symbols. There's actually one of the great Kabbalists, Rav Avraham Azulai, he lived 500 years ago. He says that each one of our gates has a database, that in this database, it accumulates all the experiences. So let's say there's a database for the hearing, right? So everything you have heard ever in your life is there. There's a database for the nose, everything you smelled, database for the ears, database for the mouth, right? And many times we access it, maybe not even knowingly, like we hear a song and it takes us back, right? Or we see something like, oh my God, I can't look at this, right? Or like we taste this, oh my God, this is exactly how I remembered it, right? So because it's still in the database. And he speaks specifically about the importance of nourishing those databases, having more nourishment experiences, I would say even to compensate for experiences that were, let's say, less nourishing.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. The first one
Yes.
is, what about experiences that maybe you had in a past life? Would you bring those into the database? Because you know how sometimes we, like,
Yeah.
let's say, visit a place that we'd never been, but it feels like we've been there before, right?
Right.
So does your consciousness, does your soul bring that into your consciousness now and in this lifetime, or is it separate?
Yeah, so this is a beautiful question. It's yes and no, meaning like the soul does have all the databases of all the previous lifetimes that it carries with it. Not all the time we have access to it. It's more from the point of making it a safe playground for us, a safe environment for us. Because if we would know, let's say, in our database, that thing that I heard, or that thing that I saw, or that thing that I tasted, or that thing that I touched, led me to a very traumatic experience, then I might not be willing to have a different experience. So sometimes we don't have access to that memory for the sake of protecting us and giving us a real opportunity to have a new experience, so-called. So we do have those memories, those databases from all the previous lifetimes. The soul knows, it carries it. And we have the ability using the Kabbalistic tools to develop also that connection. But some of the areas are like no entry because it's just protecting us.
Okay, so here's my follow-up question, then I have another one
Yes.
after that. So my follow-up question is, so okay, let's say you can protect or nourish, not just protect, but nourish the
Yes.
gates today. What about that part that is like what comes into your mind or in your consciousness that is like that little inner voice that is talking to you in a, you know, in a negative way, right? So is it just the gateways of our senses, or is part of what you're talking about kind of nourishing that inner, like, I don't want to say inner child, but that part of you that speaks louder than your negative voice,
Right.
or as we call it in Kabbalah, the opponent, or the, you know.
Right. So yeah, Kabbalah teaches us that there is a force within us. It's not really us. It's called the opponent. It has different names, but it's there to oppose to us. So the soul is like a machine in the gym, right? It's like opposing to the muscles. So the soul and the opponent, which is many times represented by through the body consciousness. So the soul is growing through resisting the resistance, resisting the opposition of the opponent. So, you know, part of the journey is to learn to, and it's a journey. I mean, it's not like overnight. Part of the journey is to be able to recognize which voice is talking right now. Is it my soul bringing up a memory from another database, like warning me to stay away, or to make sure that I do connect with this? Or is this my opponent that is trying to distract me and really like not allowing me to tap into the energy that I can receive? So it's an ongoing journey that we offer in the different courses at the Kabbalah Center, Kabbalah 1 and further, to really enhance your ability to recognize who's talking. And you know, practice makes perfect. When you start to do it more and more, you get to differentiate more and more. Is it a memory from the database? Is it something I need to listen to? Or is it something I need to say like in a nice way, shut up, you know, you're not going to distract me, you know? So
But that's part of it. It isn't just the five senses, right? That's what I'm also
right.
trying to understand, that it's not, so it's one thing, and an important thing in elite sleep is to nourish the those senses that we've called the gateways, right, to the soul. But also there's that internal element of what
Yes.
we call the consciousness or mind that
And
also
this is where
needs.
the mind comes to play, because the mind really is the mastermind, right? The mind is really the ultimate gatekeeper. And you know, we want to reach a level that we are nourishing so much those 5 gates that it's no longer in my system, meaning that even if I saw something that wasn't so positive, or I heard something that wasn't so positive, or I tasted something, I said something that I'm not so proud of, there's so much nourishment that it doesn't really affect. Like it's no longer part of my system. Like it reminds me a story about one of the Kabbalists that a student came to him. The name of the Kabbalist is the Magid of Mezrich. And he said to him, the student said to the Magid, I have really difficult challenges, and he described all of his challenges in life. How can I see it in a positive way? So the Magid said, listen, I have a student that he went through a lot in his life, and he became an expert in seeing the good in everything. His name is Rav Zusha. I suggest you go to him and ask him. So the guy went to Rav Zusha and he tells him like all that he's going through. And he said, your teacher sent me to you to ask you, how do you deal with negativity? How do you transform it to positivity? How can I do it? So Rav Zusha starts to laugh. He says, I am not sure why my teacher sent you to me, because I never had one time a negative experience in my life. So, and it's not like Rav Zusha had a negative experience and he said like, I'm going to think positive. We want to reach a level that our gates are so nourished that we don't even need to do the transformation. We see it as positive. We don't convince ourselves, yeah, I know it's negative, but there must be good in it, right? We want to reach this level, and that leads us to a higher level of dreams and sleep. Because when you reach a level that your gates are so nourished, meaning your mind is so rich with those nourishments through the gates, you reach a level that your starting point in terms of dream levels is already dreams of providence. You don't need to, I mean, I seriously doubt it that the great Kabbalists, going back all the lineage, for my teachers, Rav and Karen, going back to all the great Kabbalists, I seriously doubted that they had even one nightmare in their lives. One nightmare. Because you can reach such a level that it's no longer, even if there is like a blip of something that is not so nourishing, it's no longer, there's already a critical mass of positivity.
Right. So what I find to be very interesting is that, you would think you would have to focus on the mind, right, to nourish the mind.
Yes.
But actually, it kind of, and I know it's not easy to nourish all of the other gateways as we've talked about. I mean, it takes time, but I think that the concept of if you spend time nourishing your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your actions, that has an automatic positive effect on the consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, there might be a small part where you have to work on, that inner voice, the opposing force and all of that. But actually, even if you're just doing all the others, the voice is going to become so much less. So it feels like, on the one hand, when I'm listening to you, I kind of feel like a little overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, how do I get to a place where everything that is, regardless of what it is, isn't a challenge? Because, that's not an easy place to imagine to be. But on the other hand, when you break it down to its nourish your eyes and nourish your ears and all the things that we talked about, which were actually not that hard to do in a lot of ways, it feels doable. It doesn't feel so like, oh my gosh, I can't get there.
It reminds me like the metaphor, like let's say, and I love giving metaphors because it's really like a way to bring it home. It's like someone just won the gold medal in the Olympic Games. Like let's say in certain ways they reached their peak, or maybe it's like their 5th time they're winning the medal. So at a certain point, they're already like, then they can retire, they don't need to practice as hard as they did before. And in a similar way, when you reach a certain level of this elite sleep, and you will know it, because you will start to have, you won't have anymore like dreams of the lower level. Like it will be on the way to 0 dreams in the lower level. Then whatever you do to nourish, you don't need to do as much as you did before. And it's not as hard as before.
Right.
Like it's quicker and faster. And I can say that I'm using all the tools that we have shared since the beginning all the time. Maybe I am just not consciously.
Right.
Like it became a second nature. But we want you to reach this, we invite everyone to reach these levels. And of course, there's always room to improve. I can't say I'm already perfect in that. but we want you to reach these beautiful, those beautiful levels that to begin with, you are flying business class or first class, you know, when your soul goes to sleep. There's no like economy next to the bathroom anymore, aka nightmares, right?
Right.
It's already an upgraded experience. And that's what we want you to have.
And I want to remind everyone that if you haven't listened to like season 2, series 2 of this podcast, that's where we explain like what the takeoff is and how your soul gets there. I mean, it's worth going back and listening, or if you haven't listened to it, to listen to it, because and you can find them all on our YouTube channel. And the reason I'm saying that is because it kind of brings it all together when you understand the process that the soul has to go through. When you're starting at a at a higher level, it's like, again, like what Mordecai's saying, when you're already part of the elite status on the frequent flyer program, right? What do you get to do? You get to go to the front of the line, you get to sit up front, you get more service, you get, the perks add up. So it's worth understanding like what your soul goes through, so that you can see that when you do get put in the effort to nourish your gateways, that's kind of the same thing. You start at a higher place, and then you'll understand it better if you don't remember it or if you haven't heard it. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Wendy, I have to say, I'm amazed that you remember that it's season 2, you know, because there have been so many episodes, thank God, that, you know, it's hard to remember that it was season 2, you know, but this is great.
Well, that's why you pay me the big bucks. No, I'm teasing. No, it's funny because I was actually just talking to somebody about the seasons, and I was explaining what they were. So it was in my head. But
great,
it's
for a reason.
Worth, yeah, it's for a reason. It's worth knowing. And I just think that even though I'm a part of this team and I get the honor and the merit to work with Mordecai, I still have to go back and listen, because it's a lot of information. But it's worth it, and it's worth connecting the two, I think.
And I think, you know, it's time also to share with our audience, with the viewers and the people that are listening, that what we're doing together in this journey is we building you up to be in shape for your sleep and for your dreams. So yeah, I mean, if you try to do it all at once, it can be overwhelming. But if you start from the beginning and you go one episode after another, and you take the time to do one exercise after another, then you really build something from the foundation, and you go higher and higher. There's no limitation.
Right. I mean, and for those of you who are sports fans, they call it reps. That's what athletes do. Elite athletes, they literally do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, so that it becomes part of who they are instead of something that they have to achieve, right? And that's just, you get your reps in, and the more you get your reps in, the easier, what Mordecai's talking about, the easier it is. You just go into that. You don't even think twice. You know, doctors do it when they're learning how to operate. There's all sort, you know, you got to get your reps. So
absolutely, I love it.
Get your reps. All right, Mordecai, is there anything else you want to share about this gateway, or this receiver of all of the other gateways?
I really think that the bottom line of this is really that now we can become more conscious about the energy that we bring in when we are now, let's say, watching something that is pleasant to the gates of the eyes, or listening to something that is pleasant to the gate of the ears. Now we understand even what's behind the scenes, that I'm not doing it about the eyes, I'm not doing it about the ears. It's just a vehicle to really enhance my conscious experience. So now we can add and inject more consciousness to whatever it is that we do.
Awesome.
So,
well, thank you so much. I want to add here that we are having a bonus session this season, because we realize that there's so much information, and now we want to help you put it all together and
tying it all together.
Exactly. We're going to tie it all together next week, and we're going to show you how you can have a practice, so that you can get your reps in on all of the gateways and then feeding into the consciousness and elevating your sleep. So please make sure you join us for our
Amen
next
to that.
episode. But before then, let's talk the language of dreams, Mordecai. What's the sleep symbol of the
Yes. So we're going to talk about nuts. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Because when you look at I think it's the macadamia nuts.
macadamia and walnuts? Walnuts kind of look
walnuts,
like
right? They look a little bit like a brain. Actually, the Kabbalists say that it's associated because it looks a little bit like a brain. It's associated with the energy of the brain. So we thought that can be a nice symbol.
Well, you know, they say that protein is brain food. So, you know, nuts are protein. It makes sense.
Yeah, but the Kabbalists wrote about it hundreds of years ago. So now we can see also there's a physical connection, but there's also energetical connection. So when you see a nut, and we know also like in terms of expressions, right? You know, he's a tough nut to crack, right? Like there's like the nut sometimes represents like a shell you need to break through, like
A hard
challenge, right? Like you need to overcome something. And that's what it means as a symbol in a dream. It means a challenge that once you overcome, once you crack it, it becomes an accomplishment. It becomes an achievement. And it's actually many times associated with the energy of wealth. Like if someone sees like a lot of nuts like together, it's potential wealth coming to the individual, but not like here and there, like potential, like
a lot.
serious wealth. And if they manage also to crack those nuts, they're actually going to harness this powerful potential. And obviously also when it's a nut that is the individual in the dream cannot crack, it's like sealed. It represents like a challenge that maybe in the individual's mind or belief system, they don't think that they can overcome it.
They can do it.
So it represents that. It can also sometimes symbolize, you know, when I think in English there is an expression like when you say about someone that they're tough as a nut. Is there something like this? Like,
well, they're a tough nut. They're a tough nut to crack.
A tough nut, right? So it's also, it can indicate the individual like to be softer with themselves, softer with others, to be more open and not to be as closed, to be more welcoming, to work on that element. And it's very interesting because even the word nut in Hebrew, which means a goz, is numerical value 17, which can either mean tov, goodness, or can either mean woe, like woe to the, like woe, like challenging, right? So you can see always it's, you know, you have a challenge. Do you see it as a challenge or do you see it as an opportunity? Right? So it's always good if you see a nut in a dream, it's always good to consult with a Kabbalistic dream interpreter because it might be a warning sign, it might be like a blessing in disguise of a challenge that you really want to harness in the best way and make it an opportunity.
Okay. And does it matter what kind of nut? Is there a difference between seeing a walnut versus a pecan or a cashew?
There's no really, those that have the shell, that's what the Kabbalists mostly refer to.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think most nuts do have shells.
Yeah, I think most of them have, yeah.
Trying to think if there's
but some have like a tougher one.
Right, a harder
shell. It's related to like a tougher opportunity.
Got it. All right, thanks, Mordecai. And what about something to sleep on this week?
So this time we gave you something, we're giving you something that is more like we're giving you some room to inject your perception, your interpretation, your experience, allowing you to be a co-creator in this journey together to enhance your sleep and your dreams. So we're giving you this time the a mission, if you wish to, if you're willing to accept it, the message will destroy itself in 5 seconds. um, to, um, to find ways to clear your mind throughout the week. You know, you can maybe thinking can do like breathing techniques to clear your mind. Use the 5 gates to clear your mind. Maybe a certain exercise that clears your mind. Maybe Wendy, you have some ideas like?
Yeah, I had a great exercise that was shared with me, and it worked tremendously because it was more about clearing the mind of negativity. So, for example, if a negative thought, like we were talking earlier, like if that opponent plants a negative thought in your head, whatever that is, um, it was shared with me to immediately start to list the things you're grateful for, right? So let's say I have a thought in my head like, oh, I'm not going to get this uh, job, okay? Because I'm not good enough. The minute that comes into your head, you start saying, I have a beautiful child, I have a great house, I have a wonderful family. Like you just start to list the things that you're grateful for, and it's absolutely amazing how it actually stops that voice like from coming into your head. It literally
Yeah,
puts
because you're turning on the light instead of focusing on the darkness.
exactly. And it also, again, clears your mind because you're thinking of things that make you happy. You know, you're thinking of the things
Ah,
that bring you joy. And so it's not only clearing the negativity, but
right.
it like, oh, it puts a smile on your face. And it really, for me, it was a great exercise to clear my head.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, I hope that all of you this week find ways of doing that because, you know, it's, listen, in the world, there are challenges everywhere, and we see and we hear, and we're a part of that system. And the more
Yes.
we can find tools to help us, you know, clear our minds, keep our energy in a great place, and to nourish ourselves and our bodies and our soul, then you can get to that place where
Yeah.
everything is amazing and you never have a challenge. So we really hope
Maybe,
you.
you know, maybe even setting time away from your devices, you know, like
Yes.
your phone, your tablets, you know, like in setting time to do something that is more nourishing for you, for your well-being,
Exactly.
like proactive time. There's so many ways to do that, but we want you to have like a mind-boggling experience. And
Oh,
as a result,
Mordecai, you
you'll
had to
have a
get that
mind-boggling sleep.
in. I love it. You had to get it in. All right. Well, we hope you have an amazing week with that. As we mentioned, every week you can find our sleep symbols and our something to sleep on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please visit all of those, like, share, subscribe, because as we said earlier, um, you know, if we really want to get to our goal of everybody in the world having the opportunity to even just hear about what Mordecai talks about so that their sleep and dreams are better, that's really important because it just raises the vibration of the whole world to a better place. So please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family. If you're interested in a dream interpretation, please email Mordecai at dreams@Kabbalah.com. And if you are interested in a one-on-one with Mordecai, if you have any questions specifically about your sleep and dreams and how to take your sleep and dreams to a specific next level, you can reach out to him at artofspiritualsleep@Kabbalah.com. Until next week, we hope that you have a very wonderful, restful, beautiful, clear-minded week. And thanks for joining us.
Yes.
And sleep well.
Good night.